Good evening. I'm Michal Chamberlain, President of Massachusetts for Bank of America, and I'm thrilled to virtually be here with you for this year's Chef-a-Thon. As we all know, coronavirus has had a significant negative impact on our communities and a disproportionate impact on vulnerable populations here in Massachusetts. In response, we've partnered with many organizations that are working to address some of our community's most pressing needs, especially access to healthy and nutritious meals. That's why we're so proud of our partnership with Lovin Spoonfuls. I want to thank Ashley and the entire Lovin Spoonfuls team for working around the clock to rescue and distribute healthy, fresh food that would otherwise go to waste to the communities across Massachusetts that need it most. We know that working through this pandemic was no small feat. And further, I'm excited to congratulate you on the distribution of your 20 millionth pound of food. What an incredible milestone that we all can celebrate, albeit virtually, with you here this week. Cheers to our long-standing partnership and continued success. Now let's enjoy tonight's demo.
Hi, my name is Joel Simonson, the Development Officer for Lovin Spoonfuls. Welcome to Chef-a-Thon. We're grateful to you all for your wonderful support. This week, we are joined by some amazing chefs. Special thanks to chefs Daniel Bojorquez, Tracy Chang, Karen Akonowitz, and Douglas Williams for sharing your time and your talents with us. We hope you enjoy.
Not having food not only affects physically, but definitely psychologically. From just plain old being hungry to feeling abandoned.
I first heard about Lovin Spoonfuls through an event. They got all these local chefs to come. As I learned more about it, we thought, what a great way to get involved with the local community. They're connecting a few critical dots that in our country are not being connected.
Food is a human right. I mean, there shouldn't be hungry people, but just the fact that it's a right makes Lovin Spoonfuls work very important.
Hi, my name is Anthony Suma. I'm a food rescue coordinator with Lovin Spoonfuls in the Metro West region. I've been on this route since the expansion began almost 5 years ago. On average, on this route, we pick up around 3,000 pounds of product each day and make sure we find the perfect home for it. I just wanted to take the time to thank you for your support, because with it, we're able to work with great nonprofit agencies like Natick Service Council, Daniel's Table, and A Place to Turn. So thank you and enjoy the program.
Hi, my name is Daniel Bojorquez, chef owner of Brasa in Somerville, located at 124 Broadway. And we are going to be cooking a dish today, which is going to be a chicken roasted under a brick, and it's going to be served with Salsa Macha. But before we get into the recipe, I just want to talk about Lovin Spoonfuls, which is a very great organization. It's a non-profit. Their mission is food rescue, and they work with 175 different other non-profits where their mission is to provide food to those in need. And right now, basically, our industry has been hit very hard due to the pandemic. And what a better way to be able to help them putting this video together to basically raise awareness and just to basically be part of their mission. That's kind of my small way to help. And first of all, one of the things that we want to do with this recipe, as you can see here, we have all the ingredients are listed. You probably have the recipe in front of you and all the quantities, but I want to go very quick through the ingredients, which are very common ingredients. None of them are, which are, I guess, out of the norm. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with what you have in front of you. And I want to talk about the basically the chiles that we're going to be utilizing today. One of which is the Guajillo chiles, and this one is the chile de Arbol. I want to talk about dried chiles, as a lot of people, are not very familiar, or usually I don't work with this type of chiles. A lot of people have the impression that dried chiles, they don't go bad or they don't spoil, which is all a myth. They do spoil, So basically, when you get dried chiles, you want to be able to, you want to go to a small supermarket where they have, especially like a lot of like Spanish or Latin people around the neighborhood where the products are moving. Because these dried chiles, if they are poorly stored, they tend to create some mold. So basically, what salsa macha is a oil-based salsa. Basically, what happens, we're going to roast these chiles. The chile de arbol, it tends to be very spicy, so we're going to use this as our base, and then we're going to use guajillo chiles for flavor. And all these ingredients here you can substitute, like if you have an allergy to peanuts, maybe you can use almonds, but really you can basically, once you learn the process of putting the salsa together, you are going to be able to basically put your own flair and utilize it however you want to. In this case, we're going to use roasted chicken, and I'll show you shortly how I want the chicken broken down, and we'll go through the steps. But basically, what we're going to do, we're going to start to build the flavors with the canola oil, which we have here is 2 cups of canola oil, which seems a lot. However, that's what's going to bring together all the ingredients here. So it's almost like a vinaigrette type of salsa. Then right here we got some minced garlic, brown sugar, light brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar as well. This is some salt used for seasoning the chicken. And the quantity, the salt is you're going to use basically salt and pepper to taste, which I have a pepper grinder right here. And then we have some toasted peanuts. Peanuts can be salted or unsalted, doesn't really matter. Even if you have peanuts with skin, you can use those. And this is some toasted sesame seeds, apple cider vinegar, some dry oregano, and this is a fresh lime. So it's a very simple recipe. The chicken itself, again, it's a bill and lemon chicken. It's organic chicken. It's free range. You can find it at a supermarket. I really like this, bill and lemons. They have great flavor, and then we have some cilantro here. It's a lot of cilantro right now, but basically we're using for garnish, and we can use also to garnish our dish. And also for those who have allergy to cilantro, you can substitute this with either mint or basil, or even you can just do like some Thai basil. But this is a great dish. Again, the sauce is very flexible, so you can use it with seafood, shellfish, and maybe just with chips, however you want to do. And then in the list of ingredients also, I put a food processor and a blender. However, these two, pieces of equipment, you can do everything with your knife, because all we're looking to do is chop and clean these chilies, which I'll show you shortly how to go through the procedure, how to take the stems out, which stems are the stems of the chili, and then take the seeds out of the pepper, which is where the heat is. So we're gonna take those out of there, and I'll show you how to do that shortly as well. And then the lime here is used to finish the chicken and seasoning. So just come with me and we'll show you how to go put this recipe together. So I'm gonna show you how to break down the chicken. Basically what we're gonna do, we're gonna butterfly the chicken. And the idea to butterfly the chicken is for the chicken to cook more evenly. So I'll show you how I like to do it, but basically, again, feel free to we have a different, an opinion, or you have like a way that you wanna eat the chicken. You can do this sauce also with you can do the chicken fry. You can do it smoked. In this case, I'm gonna do again under a break. I'm gonna use pan roasted. Basically, what I want to do, I want to create as much surface as possible on the chicken in order to get like the crispy skin on the chicken. So I'll show you how I do the chicken. So basically, we have the bell and Evans. We're gonna take the tip of the wings off. The reason to do that is because if you have the wing on the chicken, it will cover the breast, and you kind of lose this part of the chicken in order to get crispy. So that's why I like to take the wings off. And all these bones and all these, I don't know, call it leftover or byproduct of the chicken, we're gonna use it for stock later on. So don't disregard these wings. We're talking about basically, how to get food along our way, and you just have to help those people in need. So, I encourage you guys to kind of, every time you use a product, be able to utilize from A to C the product, so you can find different ways and you can be creative in how to utilize it. Again, so we take the wings off. I also want to talk about the chicken itself. This chicken, I brine it overnight. Basically, the idea of brining a chicken is to infuse flavor into the meat. And what we did, we have, this is a 2-cup measurement, but basically if you want to do a gallon, basically for the chicken, you're going to need a gallon of water. So in order to do a gallon of water, you want to do a cup of salt and a cup of sugar diluted in a gallon of water. How you do that, you can get half a gallon of water hot, put your salt and your sugar into the hot water so it dissolves, and then the other half of the gallon, you're gonna add ice to cool down your brine. You don't want to throw the chicken in the hot water, it will cook the chicken. So once you have your brine prepared, you can submerge the chicken in there overnight, take it out, and then you're just gonna let it dry over the fridge. So the cool air of the refrigerator will dry the skin and it'll help it to get more crispy skin. So again, so we took the wings off the chicken, and now we're gonna just go right to the back. We're gonna take this part of the chicken, which is gonna help us to open butterfly the chicken. So you go right to the tail, and then you just go right down. So this go very easy, as you can see, and you can see the back of the chicken, which I'm sure you can see it over here, which is the ribs. So go right through it. It should be pretty easy. If you hit a bone and it gets hard, don't be afraid to use the actual, some strength to take the back of the chicken. So once you have your chicken like open like this, you can see it still has a little bit of shape. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna just break it. So you see all this, like the rib of the chicken is kind of cracked right in half, and that allows you to get the chicken nice and flat, which is that's what we're looking for in order to get. We're gonna put it on this like cast iron skillet, and then I have here prepared. So having the oven ready to go, a very heavy brick wrapped in foil paper. You want to put it top of the pan in order to get some weight. And also what it's going to do, the hot brick is going to help with the cooking time of the chicken, and that's going to maintain, you want a chicken that is moist, and you want to make sure you don't lose all the juices in the pan. So I'll show you that in a second, but just basically this is how, I guess, part of the process. Another thing that I like to do with the legs tend to cook longer than the breast, so you don't want to lose, again, the moisture on the breast, and you don't want the breast to be dry. So I like to kind of just score the leg to expose some of the bone. So basically do some, just cut like in diagonal, like 3 or 4. You can do as many or as little as you want, but this is what I do in order to help the legs to cook even with the chicken. So once you have the chicken cut up, we're gonna season with salt and pepper, but before you go ahead and do that, you wanna have your pan hot, ready to go. Because as soon as you start to put salt in the chicken, the moisture is gonna start to come off of the breast, and you don't want the breast to get wet before it touches the pan. So that'll be kind of a little difficult to get your crispy skin. You're finished butchering your chicken. Make sure to either have some sanitizer to clean your board, or you can switch your board so you can keep working. You want to make sure that you are keeping like clean surfaces in order to keep working, so to avoid any sort of potential like food hazard or anything like that. So anyways, we're gonna do the chicken here on the side for now, but we'll try and talk about putting the salsa together. So the biggest, I guess, cool sort of trick, like a lot of times, when I used to work with these smaller chiles, I'll be like, I need to take the seeds out. How do you do that in a more efficient way instead of going one by one? And that's why I kind of, on the recipe, I call for a perforated pan, which basically we're gonna do, we're gonna save the chiles here. I'm gonna crack them with the food processor in order to save time. But again, if you don't have a food processor or a blender, don't really get discouraged of like putting salsa together, because you can do all with your knife. I'm just lucky to be in a restaurant setting and I have this equipment in front of me, but I wanted to show you this kind of trick in order for, when you have a big amount of like chiles like these. So basically, you want to make sure to take the stem off. This is not edible. And then in this case, I cleaned some of the chiles, so I have them ready to go. So I took the stems off. And what I'm gonna put them in the Robocoo. Same thing with the Guajillo chiles. Guajillo chiles, I have some of them clean. You guys gonna rip them apart. Just gonna help the Robocoo do its job. But you want to start, have everything prepared there. So we're gonna shake this in the peppers in the Robocoo is a food processor. For trying to speak weird different terms. So you turn on your food processor in here, and then you let it go for like, I don't know, like 10 seconds or so. You know, make sure to crackle the chilies. You know, some of them still a little like, you know, guajillos, so they're still longer, still more whole. What you want to do, you just dump them in the pan, and shake it, and like all the seeds, obviously they're falling right to the bottom of the pan, and that allows you to keep all the chilies clean over here. So that's the idea of the food processor. But again, you can do it by hand, and you can take your time. You know, your kids hanging around, you can help put them to help you. It's a good way to spend time with the family. But anyways, that's the idea of the chilies. So we're gonna start to put the recipe together in a second, and I'll encourage you to come with me. Yeah, so here we are now. We have our black skillet pan. This we're gonna use to cook the chicken. So once you start to get the pan very hot, you want the pan to be hot in a point where it starts to smoke. The oil starts to smoke. Because when the chicken, when it's the pan's still cold, it will be harder to caramelize the skin. So right now, I haven't seasoned my chicken with salt or pepper because I want to make sure that pan that is hot. So out of the 2 cups of the oil that we're going to make the salsa, we're going to use probably a tablespoon in the pan in order to get the chicken nice and frozen there in the pan. So probably go for like a minute. Again, we're gonna just make sure that this is plenty hot, and then we have to take a break. You know, in this case, I chicken under break. However, it's another piece of utensil you can use. You can either use another skillet to put on top of the chicken. So don't worry if you don't have a break or you don't have the foil paper, like, you know, some other things that you just basically want a heavy item or heavy heat-resistant thing to put on top of the chicken, basically there. So anyway, we have the chicken here. We're gonna season very heavy. Remember, it's a big piece of meat. I mean, obviously, like if you brine, depending how salty it was, if maybe you put a lot of salt in your chicken, you're making your brine, you can taste it, see how much salt you have in your brine. So you don't have, maybe you don't need as much salt, but the salt helps to the skin not to stick to the pan, and also helps to caramelize. So we're gonna put the salt, and then we're gonna use tons of black pepper. I personally use the black pepper grinder because that pepper is fresh and it just gives better flavor. So we're gonna salt these well. Both sides. There we go. So we're getting a pan hot. Again, I want a little bit of smoke. You don't want to get too hot where you're going to throw chicken, it's going to burn. So, but as soon as you start to get a little bit of smoke there, that your pan is ready. So when you lay your chicken, you want to make sure that you try to keep as much surface in the pan. So you got this pan there, and then you lay the brick in the top of the chicken. So probably you want to let the chicken there go for, I would say, for like 15 seconds, just to get it like, you know, nice and hot in there. And then once you start to see like, you know, smoke going around, I'll do a little more oil here. There we go. That's the noise you want to hear when you're basically your pan frying your chicken. So we're going to go right into the oven now. And basically the chicken there is going to be around like 35 minutes. We'll check in a few minutes after it's in the oven. We'll have a thermometer, and you basically want to read 160. And when you put the thermometer in the chicken, you want to go through the wing, which is the thickest part of the chicken, and that will give you a good idea of where the chicken is at. So now, when the chicken is cooking, we're going to go ahead and put together our Salsa Macha, which basically, one of the things you want to do, you want to have your pan, this pan you want to start in a cold surface, and you want to use, out of the 2 cups of oil that you have here, you're going to pour, I would say pour like 3/4 or like 3/4 of a cup. The idea to that is because we're going to finish using all the oil to the salsa. However, you don't want to have too much oil very hot because it can be dangerous. And also, especially, you don't want to spill over you because you can have a very serious burn with that. So I'll recommend you just use, again, I think like 3/4 is a good amount of oil there still, but it's not, you know, the surface of the pan keeps you safe. So you put your minced garlic first, and we're gonna build the salsa. Basically, it's gonna be very quick and very fast, but once you have it into your spoon, you wanna make sure you have full attention to the garlic, because the garlic goes from like raw to basically burn and very quick. So you wanna make sure you have all of your, here. This is kind of the part of the sauce that you want to, or the salsa that you wanna have. Here's where things can go wrong, basically. So once you start to get your oil bubbling, as you can see here, oil start to burn. You want to keep stirring your garlic because the garlic will stick to the bottom of the pan if you don't stir it. So you want to just keep like basically moving it around. And we're looking for like a golden brown, like a kind of darker golden brown color in the garlic. And then we're going to build or salsa with the chilies and all the rest of the ingredients. But as you can see right now, we have a nice bubbling point in the oil, and then I'll show you how to do this. Basically, while we have the oil here building, another step of this building the sauce is to develop some flavor in the chilies. So we're going to go ahead and put a little oil in just basically in a pan, and we're going to toast the chilies here just to get like some of the aroma and some of the flavors kind of develop in the chilies. You're gonna start to smell after like probably like around like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Just very aromatic, almost like tobacco, fruity flavor in there. So you just make sure your pan starts cold as well. Like I say, the pan is hot. You turn the chilies right away, the chilies are gonna burn very rapidly. So you wanna just go from cool surface into a hotter surface. So here we can see the garlic getting still cooking. And right now, I mean, I'm sure you can start to smell the chilies. And you know, the chile, the arbol, and the guajillos are like, you know, the aroma is just great. It's one of my favorite aromas, especially in the morning. But also, if you cook it too hot and you get some of the fumes, you'll make you cough, and it kind of makes you like, you know, obviously like cough a little bit. But I mean, it's a strong aroma for sure. But you know, right now we're doing very gentle. I want to get some a little bit of a toasty, dark flavor in the chilies. And that would be very good to enhance our sauce. But I mean, right now, basically, you're smelling these chilies, you're gonna be like, I mean, I like to put the sauce in everything, basically. And again, as I said earlier, you don't really feel like you need to do it with chicken. You can do it with seafood. A duck is a great dish with this. It kind of reminds me of my nights hanging out in Chinatown. You know, when we're allowed to be there. You know, having like some of like a Peking duck with like a. You know, try with like a fried chicken. It was great. Like I think it's called a chili crisp. It's kind of the same similarity. So you can see our chili starting to get like dark. You know, they're getting like almost like some parts are black, some are like toasty, but you can see all these like almost like candy color to it. So at this point, I'll put the chickens right in the pan to make sure not to overcook them. A little bit of darkened chilies is okay. That'll be just like a very nice smoky flavor in there. But you don't want the whole thing to be completely dark. Will get very, get bitter. So again, we continue to monitor the garlic. Starting to get like, like I say, it sticks to the bottom. That's okay. You want to keep stirring it to make sure all the garlic is cooking evenly. So a lot of you are thinking maybe what you want to do with this rest of the oil. So basically what we're going to do with this oil, we're going to cool down your initial, your sauce. And that's what you want to do with this. So there we go. That's the kind of color you're looking for. At this point, I'll shut off the fire. I will go ahead and throw the peanuts in there. The peanuts already been toasted. And you want to just keep stirring that, you will like heat. And then you go ahead and pour your chili in there. Oh, follow up pepper. And as you can see, the red color from the chilies out of the chicken there, that's gonna turn red, and it's just like, that chili is right there. Has a great flavor. So when we start to get all the sauce together here, we pour the rest of the oil. You're gonna add your sugar, which is light brown sugar. And then we're gonna add our vinegar. So at this point, basically our sauce is being already, this is the base of our sauce. At this point, we want to just get it like probably maybe like another 10 minutes. This is gonna go into a blender. However, you don't want to put this in the blender at this point. You want to let it rest because otherwise you can ruin your blender. The oil, remember you have hot oil in here, and your blender has like seals, like rubber seals. So you throw some hot oil in there. Again, you can create some leaks in that. But we'll show you how to put this together in a second. Yeah. So basically, now we've been waiting for like around like I don't know 5 minutes to get the oil cool. It's not completely cool, but it's just actually still a little warm, but it's not as hot as you're gonna run your blender. So you go ahead and put this in your blender. And at this point, you can go ahead and put your oregano in there. Very nice. So at this point I blended probably around say like, I don't know, like 30, 40 seconds. And we want to make sure you blend it long enough so the chilies are incorporated with the oil. And you can see it's a little bit of emulsify there. And it will break down over time, but that's okay. That's basically you want to tie all the flavors together. So at this point, I like to go ahead and just put into whatever bowl or container I'm going to use for the sauce. And then at this point, I'm going to add the toasted sesame seeds. And this is the salsa macha right here. And then we'll show you how to put it together with the chicken on the second. All right, so we just took the chicken out of the oven. It's been around like 35 to 40 minutes. I have my oven at 500 degrees. However, it's a regular oven, it's not convection. Convection oven tends to cook a little faster. But here is the moment of the truth. So this is what you want, the color that you want to get your chicken in. I guess around 35 minutes. In this occasion, I'm going to just put a plated, use a whole. This is more like a family style type of dinner, like a Sunday supper. So then I'm going to go ahead and just garnish with the lime and the salsa macha, which you can be. I like to put a lot of it in my chicken. This salsa is actually not very hot. It has a lot of tons of flavor, and you can just don't be afraid if you're gonna be too spicy. But it took all the heat away from the seeds. And if you want to make your salsa spicy, you can leave some of the seeds. You can add some of the seeds into your salsa, and then I like to squeeze a bunch of lime in there. And you can put here for garnish in there, and then you can use some of your cilantro leaves to put in into your dish to get some freshness in there. I like to chop it very rough. You don't have to go crazy with it. And there you go. This chicken with salsa macha and sweet lime, and then just have roasted chicken. And then you can go ahead and eat this with some very nice steamed white rice or some black beans and some side of tortillas, however you really want to. But right now, the aroma is awesome.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Ashley, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time no see.
I know. Geez, it's been legit forever.
I know. It's crazy. It's been, I don't know, a long time. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God.
You good?
How are you doing?
I feel like it's my whole, it's funny, like a lot of things have changed, even like my thought about what I was doing. Like in my fair was I saw like cooking as like, oh, I want, that's a profession and I want to cook, and always kind of, I saw all the energy I was putting into the restaurant, just because in my head I thought I had a goal to open a restaurant and become, I don't know why I like the industry and I wanted to do it, but it's just more like, I think like like now that I'm doing that, is okay, how can I do, or what can I do now to this really is fulfilling, where you're like, okay, what can I utilize this platform
Yeah.
to do better, not just for myself, but for everybody around me, for the community, really, and that's kind of that's been inspiring to me, to be honest. That's been kind of just like almost like awakening, just kind of like what is this whole thing means, it's just and really at the end of the day, it's like when you realize that, when people say we're on all this together, we really are, so it's just kind of like really getting to realize how like you need the community around you to just to support, and you gotta be part of that sort of like system in order to do the best that we can, and whatever the best we can is either through helping each other, in every level, and obviously in this case, obviously what you're doing is through food.
In all of this sort of chaos of COVID, but especially sort of in the social moment that we're in, how does being from Mexico, coming to this country, starting this business, and sort of seeing where we are now, where does that bring up for you? What's your sort of experience with that?
My day to day, I go through different, I guess, groups of people, and I get to see like what people want, how everybody wants something better for themselves, for life, and like either for their families, for their loved ones, and everybody. We all want the same things. We all want the same. I guess being happy. Happiness is just, it's just a very sort of broad, I guess, term.
It's a human commonality.
President of Mexico, he had to say like, in Spanish it says, el respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz, meaning like, because Benito Juarez is the name of the president, but he was basically saying like how respecting others is like, that's where you find peace. You just got to respectful of others. And like how, I feel like a lot of, you're throughout the social media, you're looking, it's like around internet, people just throw all these things up in the air, and like, everybody just says what's in their head, but it's just all this like sort of animosity and people's views. But I think we need to really understand like we really are in all this together, and I try to basically educate, education. I'm talking about education, food, all those things. Where I was a kid, I remember that my professor saying, how trying to explain why education was so important. I'll be like, oh, I didn't care. I was just kind of, now it's funny. I'm like, I'm getting older, but I'm like, yeah, really education, food, security, those are the things where if you want to build somebody, that's the strength of, that's really powerful.
I think that, that's the thing about food people, right? Like everybody, and I mean, for me, when Spoonful started, and I sort of met everyone, and over the last, decade plus, that some of the deepest friendships I've ever had. And feeding people, whether we're doing it at Lovin Spoonfuls or at La Brasa, or you're taking a cooking class in Oaxaca, whatever it is,
yes.
the emotional proposition of cooking for somebody or feeding somebody is so powerful. And when you see it and recognize it in somebody else, and they recognize it in you, that's a relationship, that's a friendship, and that's something that you can truly connect to somebody with, and there's just no avoiding that with all of us.
Yeah, and it comes down to like, it's just funny because I'm like, even it's been a growth through the whole pandemic. As much as obviously we all wish we all want to be safe, and things like that don't not to happen again, hopefully, and obviously we're better prepared if the things do happen. And I guess in the specific industry, a lot of people who work in the restaurant industry are people who basically, like myself, who I'm all from, a lot of immigrant workers, a lot of young artists who are trying to basically live through the industry in order to do what they're doing, and in their personal, I guess, endeavors, careers, or whatever they see, however they see their lives going. So it's just a lot. The restaurant industry is a lot of people who are vulnerable, and we all is
Yeah.
and it's funny, like we always kind of knew that, and we always kind of were like always that reality was present, but never really was understood of like how much we need each other.
I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
I can't wait to get back to La Brasa. Can't wait to see you in
Oh, you're there.
person. And I have to say, this is one of the best conversations I've had in the last year, if not ever. So I so appreciate your spirit and your optimism, and your storytelling. It's just so important that we hear all this.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. It's great to see you back in there.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel.
Okay,
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye. Good talking.
Okay, bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for helping us kick off 2021's first Chef-a-Thon. Thanks again to Chef Daniel for sharing your food, your passion for cooking, and your commitment to Lovin Spoonfuls with us all tonight. I can't wait to get back to La Brasa. I've been craving it, and watching you tonight reminded me why. I also want to thank our sponsors and our entire community of supporters for continuing to be there for us and everyone we serve. See you tomorrow for night 2 with Chef Tracy Chang. Thanks. Good night.